What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, Joseph Gannascoli. As you may know him, Vito Spatafore from the Sopranos. He's here to talk some New York Giants football with me for a special edition of Fan Friday. Super excited to have you on, Joseph. How are you doing today?
Very good, pal. What's going on?
Not much, man.
Pleasure to
Ready to
be
talk
here.
some Giants football. It's been an interesting time this season as a Giants fan. A lot of wins so far this year, but recently, not so much. Couple losses and a weird tie. How are you feeling after that tie against Washington?
Not good. We had so many opportunities to put it away. 2 years in a row, we had bad luck against the Skins or the Commanders. I know them as the Skins. For last year, Dexter Lawrence offside. That was a win. This year, out of nowhere, Feliciano penalty. What he was doing down there. As soon as he threw the flag, I go, I bet you that's a taunting. Sure enough, that was horrible. So, Gano is usually money in the bank, but we needed a couple of more yards. That kick fell just short. It was winter air, ball wasn't traveling, and that was such a winnable game. So now we got to do it the hard way.
Yeah, it really was a winnable game. A lot of blown opportunities there. It just wasn't the same team that we saw at the beginning part of the season, but a big game coming up this week, right? Playing Philly. And what are you thinking going into that game? Of course, it's kind of a must win. It feels like every game left on the schedule kind of is a must win. But, Philly's rolling right now, best record in the NFL. How are you feeling with this game against the Eagles?
The Eagles are rolling, and I just want to be competitive, maybe a little surprises, and keep it close and maybe winnable at the end. But in all likelihood, I'm figuring the game after. It was good we missed Chase Young, but he'll be back probably for that. Ojolari and Thibodeau look like Ojolari came to play last game. It shows you what we've been missing with him. Just back to that last game, too. I mean, another half a yard back. Thibodeau sacks him in the end zone. We get a safety. Or that was such a big hit. I don't even know how he held on to the ball. But I'm looking at hopefully we beat the Colts. We beat the Commanders in D.C. And then last game of the year, Phillies maybe resting everybody, and we get a win that way. 9 maybe gets us in. 10 definitely does. So I just want this team to get a taste of the playoffs, get back to a winning culture, and I don't think, we're going to make any hay in the playoffs if we do get in. But just to get a taste for the guys to prepare and see what it's like to play meaningful football after the season's over. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, that's what we're all hoping for. I mean, it's been 6 years since we've seen the Giants in the playoffs. It's been a long time, a lot of losing during that time. So hopefully they can turn it around. But I think, looking at this game against Philly, you mentioned him. Azeez Ojulari, to me, is like the X factor in this game. He was missing from the lineup for a long time, and the Giants' pass rush became a little bit stagnant during that time. But as soon as he re-enters the lineup, you're seeing Kayvon Thibodeau play at such a higher level. So I think that going into this game, how excited are you to watch those two kind of play in tandem together? Because to me, they're starting to give me a little bit of shades of early on when you had the likes of Justin Tuck and Osi Umenyiora playing together.
Well, I don't know if we're at that stage just yet. I have to see more of it, but I want one of those guys to be a terror like Parsons is. You know what I mean? This guy's all over, lining up every which way, and he's always getting to the quarterback. So hopefully that's what's in store for us. Even Jahan Ward is, he's been making big plays all through the year. I really like him. But Ojolari, you would think his first game back, he was a force, and Thibodeau, I think hopefully he's going to start coming on even more so, and it's nice to see. Of course, with that defense, McKinney and Jackson, we need those back. that injury to McKinney reminds me of Plaxico, with the gun thing. It's and he's not a bad egg, and he's not like a street guy. You can see that it was just bad judgment for probably that one incident. But I love him. He's got his head on straight, so I'm not going to hold it against him. But typical Giants. Bad luck, injuries. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Lots of injuries. McKinney is actually getting those pins taken out today, I believe, from his hand. So they're hoping he can maybe come back in the next 2 weeks. That would be huge for the defense. And I think more so than anybody, maybe, is Adoree Jackson. The Giants are really missing him. It's kind of a mess at that cornerback position. There's been a little bit of a revolving door. Rodarius Williams got an interception against Dallas. And then this guy, Zion Gilbert, kind of got torn to shreds against the Commanders. I think that's really the area that's killing the Giants right now on defense. But on offense, what are you thinking about that offensive line? Because it's been kind of a mess lately.
I don't know. It seemed like the second half, Jones stopped running, which was in the first half. He was picking up great yards. I'm not big on running quarterbacks, but if he gets down out of harm's way, it doesn't really shy away from contact that much, Jones. But that was such a good factor. And then Barkley's constantly running through the line. I know that at any minute he could find a seam and rip one, but it seems like it's been a struggle the last few weeks. I wish they would get him in some space, pitch it out, do the bubble screen, get him to receive a little more, and they even mix it up with Matt Breida or Brightwell. And again, I'm so glad they held on to Slayton. I was saying it from day one. He has chemistry with Jones. Why is he not playing? He finally got a shot. He took less money. He wanted to stay here, and he's produced. And even these other guys, everyone says we don't have a big name receiver, but I like Lawrence Cager. 6'5", 240, tight end. He was a receiver. Hodgkins, I think, is good. He had that bad fumble, but he's been dependable. Even James with 2 fumbles, he's been pretty good holding on to the ball. So I think those guys like a lunch pail group that could work. And I just wanted to maybe get a little more creative, like Kafka was bringing on with all the different looks and then in the motion, this, that, and the other thing, and it seems to have stopped. So I don't know. I'm a big Daniel Jones fan, and I think he's going to be the guy. He's right out of the mold of Eli. Wants to be great. He's a tough kid. He's got better legs, probably a stronger arm than Eli. But Eli had that it factor. I mean, Eli had a lot of down times, but when it was time to be clutch, man, Eli's the guy.
Yeah, Eli Manning is the reason that I started watching the New York Giants, my favorite player ever. But so you're in the boat here with Daniel Jones, where some people, questioning his future. Some people don't want to extend him and want to look at a quarterback in the offseason. You're all in on DJ and you want to see him get extended then?
Yeah, I do. I don't want to start all over with a quarterback. I don't know if it comes from the draft or who's out there, but I'm a Daniel Jones fan, and I know he can do it. He's cut down on his fumbles. Doesn't really look over the field. I mean, kind of zeroes in on one receiver, and that's where the ball goes. That bothers me a little, but still, I mean, what has he had to work with in his development? He's finally got an O-line that's, Thomas is, yeah, people talk about Gettleman, but Gettleman made half this team is Gettleman's picks and signings and so on. So Thomas is great. Neal, I think, is going to be something. The interior needs some work. But it's serviceable. It has been atrocious.
Yeah, well, one thing that I think has been a little bit atrocious though is the receiving talent. I know you mentioned there's some guys in there that you do like, but the likes of Kenny Galladay who can't even see the field anymore, and of course there's been a lot of injuries at that position. But the way that you and I connected was on Twitter. I made a tweet about a certain somebody, and you didn't seem too thrilled by the idea of the New York Giants potentially signing Odell Beckham Jr. So I'm curious to hear your take, especially after he just went on this whole tour around the country with the Dallas Cowboys and everything. How are you feeling about, OBJ? And before you get into it, I promise it was just his heart medication. He's not going to be falling asleep on the plane anymore.
It's always a little drama with this Odell. You know what I mean? If Shane and Dable sign him, then I'm always with them that they know a lot more than I do. So I would think that hopefully he's grown up, and with all the drama. And I just saw the tweet with his driver saying he's not going to the Cowboys, he's going to the Giants, but he still hasn't even worked out. So I still believe he's got great hands and he's probably quick, just as not as fast. If the two ACLs, the same leg, same knee. So again, if he makes everyone better and he gives the Giants a serious threat, I'm okay with it. But I'm okay with him not signing. So we'll see. He could have been the LT of offense, and whatever kind of diva thing that he had going on, and he had to be all that drama, look at me kind of stuff. Everybody looks at that catch against the Cowboys. They lost the game. Who cares? You know, you know what I mean? I don't care about the catch. Yeah, it was a great catch. There's only been great catches they've seen in the NFL this year with the one hand behind your back. You don't win the game. Who cares about the catch?
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said there. He could have been the LT of the offense, right? But a lot of wasted opportunities with Odell and really squandered talent during his time in New York, and then of course shipped to Cleveland, torn ACLs. But I got to say, Joseph, so far you have a real knowledge. You seem really into football. Did you play it growing up at all?
No, I didn't play it. I was more hockey, baseball. Um, I started early 70s. John Mendenhall was my guy. And I'm, hardcore Yankee, Giant, and Ranger. But football, I enjoy more if you play once a week. You wait all week for it. They only play 16 games, now 17, used to be 14. I love preseason. I love the draft. I love free agent signings. I live for that. I get the outlets, football book. I read up on the guys as soon as they draft them. Um, I'm always going through the practice squad to see who they sign and the tryouts like every Tuesday. I always think they're going to come up with the next Victor Cruz, and so that's why I like the Lawrence Cages and the Hodgins that no one else does, and they get opportunity and they produce. Um, so that's what I love about the Giants and football. But I don't play fantasy. I don't care about any other teams. I only care about who's playing the Skins, Cowboys, and Eagles, and my Giants.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell that you have that passion and the love for the Giants, but you know, I'm just curious. You grew up in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah,
Which area?
Gravesend and then Bay Ridge.
Okay. My mom grew up in Williamsburg. You ever go over to the feast in Williamsburg?
Was that Mount Carmel?
Yeah.
Or, uh, no, I haven't. I haven't actually. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I grew up in Brooklyn. I lived in New Orleans for a couple of years. I was cooking, had restaurants. I was a chef before an actor. So I remember being in New Orleans when going to work, listening to the Saints. Oh no, it was Lions. It was on Thanksgiving, I think. It was on Thanksgiving. Lions and LT, and him returning that kickoff. Oh, not the kickoff, that interception, and ran it back for a touchdown. That was,
Yeah.
LT was my guy. He did an episode of The Sopranos. That was a highlight for me. And I was in that
Yeah.
scene. I was like on cloud nine.
I remember that scene. I remember because I was like watching something on my phone about Lawrence Taylor Giant stuff, and then I flipped on The Sopranos in the very next episode. I'm like, whoa, that's LT. It was really crazy. I'm a huge fan of the show The Sopranos. I've watched it like 3 times over. I love all the work that you did on there, everything like that. But I'll say though, the feast, Carmel Feast, the food there is amazing. I know you're a chef now. You do some private dinners and everything. If you want to talk about that, share with the fans what you've been up to.
Um, so I was a chef for a long time, had restaurants, um, and got into acting in a roundabout way. Moved to LA and lived in LA and got my start there. I did cooking for this person whose husband was a big fan, and it was a couple of people, and I made a few dishes. She posted pictures on Facebook, and people started responding. Oh, my husband, my father, my brother, my boyfriend would love this. How do I get in touch with him? And it just took off for the last couple of years. So I do like Friday and Saturday nights. I do parties. Um, I have a minimum of 16 people, up to 40. I have an assistant. I shop for the food, and I'm there about 10 hours. And I, answer questions. I tell stories, take pictures of everyone, and um, it's always about the food. I do about 15, 18 appetizers, a shrimp scampi tasting, a choice of pasta, and then they pick out their entrees. There's some different prices, but it's really unique, and people rave about the food. They have no idea, they don't expect it, how much there is, and how good it is, and so it's pretty cool. I enjoy doing it. The only thing is, you never know which, because I do it at their house, so you never know what kitchen you're walking into.
Mm. I'm sure that comes with its challenges, but that sounds like a lot of fun, a really cool experience. I'm moving back up to New York pretty soon, and hopefully, I have a big occasion that I can have you come out and cook for. But you also mentioned you share some of those stories. Before we depart here, do you have any cool stories? Maybe that time when you did the scene with Lawrence Taylor, or anything else that you want to share from your time on The Sopranos?
Well, I'll tell you about that scene. So I understood it was going to be Michael Strahan, which I was really excited about. I wanted to get there early so I could, meet him and hang out with him before we shot. And I get there and they said, Strahan's not doing it. I said, oh, man. Excuse me. Why not? And he said, well, something came up. I said, I was really disappointed. And she said, oh, but a guy named LT is doing it. And I said, LT, Lawrence Taylor is doing the scene? I said, are you kidding me? And it was with David Lee Roth, which, I didn't care about. So he knew I was such a big fan. He sent his assistant out, got my 2 footballs to sign, and listening to the stories in between takes, I was like, I couldn't believe, excuse me, Paige just smoked the best. Excuse me. I was so thrilled that, he's one of my top guys. I met Muhammad Ali at the studio, Ali and LT and Jackie Robinson's my other. Those are my 3 idols. So LT was fabulous. That was the highlight as far as acting. I mean, of course, being on the show and the greatest show ever is great, but doing it with LT was pretty cool.
Yeah, sure sounds like it. That's awesome. Is LT your favorite player of all time, or do you have any other New York Giants in history that stand out as your favorite?
LT is my favorite of all time. Of course, I love the OC, Mendenhall. I started with Mendenhall. Um, Eli, I love. Um, I mean, if you're a Giant, I love you. You know what I mean? I don't like to trash any, except the bad ones that don't care about being a Giant or just have like a bad attitude. Those kids. But when guys, I love them all. I love them all. You know, that '86 team, that '90 team. You know, uh, it's just something about what jersey you got. Oh, you got on the Barkley jersey?
Yeah, I got a Saquon on right now, but Eli's my favorite player of all time, as I mentioned. I love Saquon, though. I miss Odell Beckham Jr. I'm not gonna lie. I really, really loved when he was on the team. It was a lot of losing, but it was like every single week you were tuning in to see what he would do on Sundays, what kind of great catch he would make. So a lot of my great memories come from him. But a little further back, Victor Cruz. I loved Cruz and Tuck, JPP when he was in his prime. A lot of great players that I grew up watching.
Hakeem Nicks was great.
Yeah.
Steve Smith was great. Stephen Baker was great. Lionel Manuel. I mean, I go on and on and on. Phil McConkey. All these great Jimmy Robinson. It goes on and on.
You Coughlin or Parcells? Who do you prefer there?
Tom Coughlin.
Yeah, I love
Parcells was
Coughlin.
great, and I love Parcells, but Parcells, was coaching here, coaching there, coaching everywhere. As a matter of fact, Coughlin, uh, in my group, I just remember my group. We just had lunch. My 4 or 5 hardcore guys meet like once or twice a week, go over the roster, talk about the game, so on and so forth. And I just got the giant win by Greg Hanlon, and I gave it to my guy. He's an older guy, but you mentioned a name like Danny Bugs, who was a receiver back in the '70s. He'll tell you what college he went to. This guy's just like an encyclopedia of Giants. So I gave him the book. And I said, Greg Hanlon. I said, let me see if he's on Twitter. So we're sitting at lunch, and I started going back and forth with the writer of the book, which was pretty cool. And I had pictures from the parade, and I got a picture of me with 18-1 on my forehead. It's a great picture, and I just posted it on Twitter. You'll see it. And he was a big fan, and it was pretty cool to be going back. I said, you're not related to Pat, are you? So I actually have a product that's licensed by the NFL. It's a cover that goes over a 5-gallon water bottle. And I remember I took a great picture with Coach Coughlin at Giants camp, him holding we call it skins. And it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I met Coughlin once at Tom Coughlin Champion for Children's charity gala. I love the stuff that he does there for, the kids struggling through hard times. And I just think, everything that he did for the team as well and off the field. And Coughlin's a real inspiration. I love him.
Yeah, I try to tell my daughter, don't be on time, be 10 minutes early. That's
Yeah,
always
the
something
Coughlin
that
rule.
sticks with me. And and Coughlin was he's just a good man, and I was sick the way he went out. And I'm sure that Mr. Mara reversed that and doesn't feel good about it. Nor so that thing against Carolina with him and what's his name? The defensive back, and they were going back and forth with Odell. And, I wish Coughlin would have just stepped in and sat Odell, because that was so stupid.
Yeah.
And, he had a bomb in his hands. He dropped it. What are you going to do?
Yeah, remember that game? That pretty much cost us that drop there. But I got to say, before we wrap up, you're pretty good at this podcasting thing. You have a pretty good way about you. Have you did you make a guest appearance? I know that you have some co-stars from The Sopranos that are hosting Talking Sopranos. Steve Shreppa, Michael Imperioli. Did you make an appearance on that?
No, I didn't go on. They asked me to. I didn't. Personal reasons. If you
Gotcha.
did it, maybe you'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't do it. So there's a lot of, listen, I get asked to do a lot of podcasts, very few that I do. But when it comes to talking Giants, it's a soft spot. So you're one of the lucky ones.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to take that as a massive compliment. Really appreciate you coming on talking Giants with me. You're welcome on anytime. Anytime you want to rant about the Giants or just talk about them, hit me up and we'll have you back on the show.
Well, it has been too rant. I like the direction they're doing, and they're going in now, and I think maybe they got it right with the GM. And I don't like trashing Gettleman. I don't like really trashing many or any coaches or GMs, but I think they got it right with Shane and Dable. And I'm hoping, I didn't get to camp this year. It's the first time I missed it in years and years and years. I'm hoping Dable's a fan and I could meet him. But soon, next year I'll be there.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. But again, thanks so much for coming on, Joseph, Vito, however you like to be referred to. I know, I mean, again, I'm a huge fan of The Sopranos, my favorite show of all time. And that season that you were in, I know your character met an untimely demise, but what a performance you turned in. And it was a lot of fun and a lot of fun talking with you today. Thanks so much for coming on, and hope to have you back on again soon.
Well, I appreciate it, Ed. Good luck to you. Good luck to the Giants, and let's get into the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Have a Merry Christmas.
All right. You too. Thanks so much.
All right, pal. You got it. I'll see you.